Does anyone else have any further comments? You go for it.
So I got one more thing that he said. Sorry about that.
No?
He said something about revolution has its root in technology in its time. And what I think is that social media right now, it is the time to use it, but a lot of the thing that we use right now is that it's way too far from what we know how to use it correctly. And this is the thing that we're doing right now, is to learn how to use it more efficiently, more correctly for the business that we're in. And that's the same with what I'm doing for making this business as well, is to learn how to use social media and make it in a way that we can create those strong ties within everyone.
On that, okay, definitely, we can pass it down to the woman in the black, just under the vestibule flags.
I think when we're talking about communication, we're talking about social media, we're talking about tools. I think it comes back to really basic human interaction, which is what we really got to look at, is how we communicate, not just via tools. And we're talking about Twitter, we're talking about Facebook, we're talking about all these tools. And that's all great, but if we aren't good communicators, we don't listen well to our fellow human beings, we aren't compassionate, we don't sympathize, we don't do those kind of things, all these tools are worthless.
Do you feel like that's being lost in a lot of the social media, or the Twitter and the Facebook?
I think they're actually, strangely enough, I think, I said this, I don't know if you know who Chris Brogan, who wrote Trust Agents. I was following him early in my Twitter time, and I thought, wow, if people actually do what he's doing offline, we'd actually have a better world, because we're talking about giving value to the person that we're sitting opposite, we're listening, we're saying, what are you, being curious about the other person, and I think he tries to do that. And I think that is, when we talk about trust, that's what increases trust, is having somebody actually listen to you. So it's not just about yelling. So these tools are great, but I think we've got to go back to what we, learning how to efficiently communicate, and what does that mean, and how to use that.
Has anyone in the room seen efficient communication through social media in the context that, sorry, what was your name?
My name's Trilby.
Trilby, in the context that Trilby's talking about? Okay, right next door. I like that, it's nice and easy.
It's not supposed to be easy. Yeah, I have many friends through social media that I wouldn't have made otherwise. And I think we need to also, we need to define what a strong connection and a strong tie and a weak tie is too. If a strong tie is holding someone's hair back while they puke.
I like that, I don't know. That's kind of cute. It takes us back to our adolescent years.
It's a very good point. But if a weak tie is talking to someone occasionally on Twitter, then we probably need to refine that. We need to figure out, what each of those are. Because I know people in the same way, in the sense of the word, but I know people from Twitter and from social media that I would PayPal $100 to.
Apparently you're better at building weak ties over social media than others.
Are they weak ties? Or are they strong ties? What's the definition? Is a strong tie somebody that I can see in the flesh? Or is a strong tie somebody that I have a strong connection to?
I was going to say, there's got to be some rebuttal on the side of the table. Daniel, someone, run, Bradley. Oh, Bradley wants to do it. Daniel, let Bradley go.
I'd really like to flip this around, because, Lindsay, you've probably seen this more than once, and F5 was your show, so I'd really like to know what you think.
No, you did this to Carissa last week. These guys have their hand up. I'll come back to it. I will.
Answer.
I will.
Everybody
I
wants to know
will.
what Lindsay thinks, right? Right?
Yes!
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm going to eat my words, because my position was that I think that weak ties are extremely important for business, and I think that everything that we're doing through Facebook and Twitter and all the other sites, I find it personally completely overwhelming. I do see the benefit in all of it, but I think there's just so much information that is being fed at us all the time that you've got to start making a choice. And there's so many social media experts out there that are telling us that we have to just embrace it all, and I completely disagree with that. I think you need to pick the channels that work the best for your specific business. And I could go on about this, but I'm not going to because we have a comment here and then a comment over there. Go for it.
Yeah, I think I want to bring us back to where you're trying to bring us in terms of the business. And we got stuck very early on with Gladwell on the word trust. And the trust is how he's trying to show the difference between a weak and a strong tie, right? So the strong ties are because we at a personal level have trust. The weak ties, we have lesser trust. Whatever that means, it's a lesser part. To draw a parallel for business, it's not that we actually have a trust on a personal level. There's a business relationship there, and the business relationship is built on value, right? And so, some people align themselves to a product or a company. We heard earlier on today that Apple rules or Mac rules. Well, there is a trust or a value that was aligned there. And we could argue and debate whether it does or doesn't rule. That's the strong tie that somebody has formed with a product or a company or a service or something like that. So I think that the conversation can continue on, and you can draw a parallel to the business side just by replacing the word trust with value. And so we're talking about value, and the thing that I walked away, probably the most important thing that I walked away with tonight here is all the right things in the right place. Social media in the business world is a great place to start the relationship of trust. It's not the end all, it's not the only thing there, it's the start. The piece that's missing, going back to some other ties here, the piece that's missing is what do we do next to build that value proposition that will keep us in a longer relationship or whatever it is that we need.
Thank you. Did you have another comment? Or?
Yeah, comment.
I'm really excited for you to take the floor again. I just want to hear more goes.
Sorry, one more thing. Just one more thing. I love you all.
No, I find it interesting just talking about how to use it for business, and I think it is just embracing the weak tie. And my feeling as I look at Twitter or Facebook, I want to be someone who's building a relationship. But you know what? If you're going to be successful with it, at least we're a B2C company. You're not building relationships. You're making people feel like they have a relationship with you, which is just like all the other types of marketing. Because when you have 2,000 followers, you can't build a relationship. You showcase with a few individuals that you're able to. You show who you are so people feel that they know you, but you don't know them back. Not every one of them, but you let them know who you are. And that builds the trust. But it's never going to be completely two-way if you're successful. If you're unsuccessful, you have 3 followers, be their best friend.
Okay, I just had one other comment that I was thinking. A lot of the watching this, I kept trying to reframe what he was talking about in the context of business and which is behind every revolution there's a few prime actors, and then there's a lot of people who are supporting them, and they kind of alluded to that with talking about bringing the war back home in Vietnam, where you have people whose ideas. Maybe they're not actually doing anything about Vietnam, but the sentiment is changing. I think there's a real power in social media to address the sort of very quickly, changing ideas. And there was talk about the Green Revolution. There's talk. I appreciate the latest comment about the Tea Party movement and things like that. You may or may not agree, but with people's sentiment, but the speed at which they're communicating and organizing is very impressive.
Yeah, and I completely agree with that in the sense that I think there's probably 2 strains of people in this room. There's the strain of people that are using social media to build innovation, build new ideas, and build smaller startup companies, and using social media for a completely different tool than when you're an established company and you're sitting there worried more about how is this going to affect the rules and the regulations and what can people say and what can they not say and how are we going to build our brand. someone's going to throw something at you. There's always a little bit of a soul in that, and I think that's why sometimes it's a little bit harder to actually translate that into effective social media for the bigger businesses, because you get less of the personality in it. And the trick is to be able to push that personality in, and that's, I think,